Welcome everyone to our roundup of the group phase of the 2018 FIFA World Cup here in Russia, and I'm delighted to be joined by my former Aston Villa teammate and Australian international Mark Bosnich as we analyse the latest action before the tournament enters the vital knockout rounds. But first, here's a look at all the action from around Moscow this week. The Stan Collymore Show today has come to the Russian Football Museum to have a look at how Russia has contributed to the beautiful game in this FIFA World Cup month. But also, some friends of the show, Classic Football Shirts, have brought their collection, a huge collection of match-worn shirts from FIFA World Cups over the last 50 or 60 years. Let's go and have a look. Jesus Navas played for Manchester City, now plays in Seville. Netherlands against Spain, July the 10th, 2010, Johannesburg. This was worn in a FIFA World Cup final. And we have yet another shirt that was worn. Does it get much more famous, more iconic than the famous Brazil kit? I don't think so. And when you've got a man like Cafu who's wearing it, see, it's even peeling off. You can smell his aftershave. There you go, FIFA World Cup, Korea and Japan. So here's a shirt that I know very well because one of my 3 England caps, which I treasure, was in this kit. David Beckham wore this in 1998. And there was a lot of controversy. He played against Argentina. He got sent off after lashing out at Diego Simeone. Diego Simeone now is Atletico Madrid manager. Beckham, the icon, in an iconic game. It's been an incredible journey for Russian football over the last 30 years, really. There was the Soviet Union, right the way up till the early 90s. Then several nations left and became the Commonwealth of Independent States. Andrei Kanchelskis played for Manchester United and Everton. He played for the Soviet Union and he played in that team, the Commonwealth of Independent States. No crest, no badge, just lettering. Quite incredible transition from the Soviet Union to that. So we've seen all of the shirts from yesteryear, some of Brazil's great ones, England's great ones, and finally the Soviet Union. We're in modern-day Russia today. They are the hosts of the FIFA World Cup. The tournament is going fantastic. Poekily. So we are very privileged to be in the Peru house. Peru are going home for the World Cup, but they have brought colour, they have brought passion, they have brought an incredible amount of fans, and they've also brought a shaman. What does a shaman do? Tell us what a shaman does.
Shaman is a healer. It's a natural doctor that we have in the mountains in the Andes of Peru from many centuries back, from century 1, from the Moche culture, way before the Incas. The Incas come from century 14, the Moche come from century 1.
So I played football for a long time in England, and I have, at the moment, a very, very bad Achilles tendon. Can you help me?
It's okay, I will do it.
What do you want me to do? Tell me what you want me to do.
Come to my table.
Please, let's go. You want me to stand on here?
If you want, up.
I'm very scared. I have never been treated by a shaman before.
Close your eyes, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you very much. He's got rid of my Achilles tendonitis.
That is great.
Thank you. And this is for me. And I'm going to keep this very safe from memory of Peru. So it's quite incredible. A part of Red Square has turned into literally a little Copenhagen. There you go. Denmark, I'm a Danish supporter. Let's go and have a chat to some of the fans.
We are red, we are white, we are Danish dynamite. We are red, we are white, we are Danish dynamite.
Give us the song. Come on, ref! Come on, that's a joke! Absolute disgrace! So, we're here with three guys that have managed a quite incredible feat. Bill, Rory, Fraser have cycled all the way from
Tokyo, Japan. Yeah.
Tokyo, Japan. Why?
For the World Cup.
But what reason would you get on a bike and bike all the way from Tokyo, all the way to here? Were you raising money for charity? Was it just for fun? Was it to challenge yourself? Come in and tell us.
It's a bit of both, really. I've got some my cousin's playing for Australia, so we thought that's...
Who?
Jackson Irving.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you going to be able to catch him in a game, his final group game?
We watched the first two in Kazan to Samara, but Sochi was too far to get to.
And have you managed to catch up with him?
Yeah, we got to hang out a day in Kazan with all the players.
So tell me what the route took. You went from Tokyo, where did you take him?
Then we hung it around Mount Fuji, and then down to the coast of Fuji and along the coast, but that's where we had to separate Bill for a little bit.
Yeah.
Why, Bill? What happened?
I had to hitchhike for a while.
Why? Why did they leave you?
My bike broke, so I had to jump on a train.
Right.
Yeah.
So you went from where on a train to where?
Oh, I got picked up by this bloke in around Fuji, and he took me up to Kyoto. Yeah.
So how long in total, in kilometres, miles, whatever currency you used, did you manage to get from Tokyo here?
About 5,000 kilometres.
A bit more, I think.
We reckon,
Yeah.
Guys, fantastic achievement. Enjoy the rest of your time at the FIFA World Cup in Russia and say hello to your cousin.
Yeah,
Come on, Socceroos.
Yes.
Fantastic achievement. This is what the World Cup is about. People come in from all over the world to enjoy this beautiful game of ours. So, we found some Colombian fans. So we are here in front of the great Falcao and the World Cup. Let me jump across here. Can Colombia win the World Cup?
Yes, of course. We want.
Why? Explain to me. Persuade me.
Because we have the best players in the world.
The Lions of Taranga. Welcome back, one and all, to the Stan Collymore Show. We're high above Red Square. What a view that is. But Mark,
Yes.
there's only one place to start the group stages of the FIFA World Cup. Germany. They were here last year as Confederations Cup champions with a very young team. They come here as overwhelming favourites. They are out. That's the first time it's happened since the 1930s. Why?
Well, basically, I think what's happened is, and we've seen this in the last 3 World Cups, champions have gone out in the first round. Now, whether or not it's a little bit of complacency, we don't know. Look, I think in every country they have a team that they really look up to, whether they be the former winners or a golden generation or something like that. And something happens during that time, whether it's a bit too much attention, whether they need a new voice from somebody else. There'll be a lot of pressure that comes on to Lowe as a coach, whether or not he resigns or does he stay on. Sometimes, and you said this to me before, a different voice is very, very important. But I had a really good friend of mine who went to watch him against Saudi Arabia in the lead up, and he turned around and said, you know what, I would not be surprised they get knocked out in the first round, and he was 100% right. We saw the controversial non-selection of Leroy Sané.
Well, that's what I want to dive in. Leroy Sané, one of the players of the season for Manchester City in the English Premier League. Assists, goals, travelling with the ball very well. Everything that Germany haven't done. The suggestion was that Joachim Löw, he wasn't his type of player. He didn't like his cockiness and attitude. Does that mean in itself that the manager needs to look at himself, and perhaps Germany may be looking for a new manager? Well,
I think you're exactly right, and that's what it comes down to. Like I said, because when you've won a World Cup, like when you won any major tournament, you know yourself being in a football side, egos do come into it. That actual non-selection told me something that, you know, they went from 2000 when they didn't qualify for the first time ever in a European Championship for the next round. They come last in that group. They revamped the whole of their football. They started looking at other places for players, and you saw the result in that in the last World Cup when they won it. This type of attitude and all that stuff as well, with some of the players taking pictures with the Turkish president, all that type of stuff, it was very, if you want to say, un-German, and that's something that they've got to really look at, and it does start with the manager. Now, a lot of people turn around and say, okay, it's the manager, what about the players? But that's the man who takes the blame and the credit for when things go well.
Video assistant referees.
VAR.
Now, I've had more tweets, more interaction on Twitter, Instagram about this than anything else. We now presented with the coverage, the live coverage, and we see the referee, we see the players, we see the fans, and we see these 4 or 5 guys sat in front of a TV up in the gallery. Are you a fan of it? Penalties galore. What are your thoughts on this new technology and how it pushes our sport forward?
I'm a fan of it. Now, the domestic league in Australia, the A-League, which I work on, we've had it for the whole season. Now, there's just one thing that I need to be changed, in my opinion. The wording of it has to be a clear and obvious error, I think, is getting everybody in trouble. Why? Because you're asking officials then to judge, is it a clear and obvious error? Is it just an error, or is it something that's not really worth it? So you've got the example of the penalty against Australia for France. So Griezmann goes through, we have to look at it about 5 or 6 times. Under that protocol, that's not a penalty. I actually thought it was a penalty, but under the protocol, it's not. Then you've got Harry Kane in the opening game against
rugby tackle. There's been a lot of rugby tackling at corners in the box.
I mean, that is clear and obvious, but they decide not to go to this. So if you just take that out and put error, I think it actually makes it easy, because then it's an error. Okay, boom, there you go. It doesn't have to be clear and obvious. To judge, somebody to judge whether it's clear and obvious, for me, is too difficult. It's hard to judge as it is anyway. And when we saw today in the game with Senegal and Colombia, how difficult it is to judge anyway. So take that out, and I think it is better for the game. I know people are saying we've had more penalties in this tournament than we ever had, but bottom line is, if it's a foul, it's a foul. And the big game, Stan, you know, we're talking about a lifetime if somebody doesn't get the right decision. You don't want that.
Tell the layman at home that isn't a football fan at all why VAR should continue, not just at World Cups, but in Champions Leagues and leagues around the world. What is the difference? Is it just a case of more correct decisions being made?
Correct.
Or is it a case of taking sting out of games where referee blows the whistle to give a penalty, it's proven not, pressure comes on the referee, fans get unhappy? Tell us what it is.
Ask the fans or ask the players in the past who have been victims, basically, of decisions. Everyone makes mistakes. That's no problem. But how to have to live with that for the rest of their life, and how things could have been different. You know, game-changing decisions make a huge bearing. So ask the lads of 1986 for England how they felt after what they saw, or how do they feel, and they have to live with that. So if we had VAR, that wouldn't happen. I mean, you've played in big games, I've played in big games. Basically, it just makes sure that those things do not happen, and that's why I'm saying to you, the only thing that I see that's wrong with it is they say clear and obvious error. No, if it's an error, it's an error, and that's it. Then it's up to the referee if he goes and has a look at it. So a lot of people don't realise that the VAR will tell the referee, and it's up to the referee whether or not he goes and looks at it. It's him to make the decision.
Russia, how important is it for this country of 146 million people, the world's biggest country, some would say not a natural football country, to have won those opening 2 games and get the nation behind them?
Well, Stan, you and I were in South Africa, and that was a wonderful World Cup for historical reasons with Nelson Mandela and everything, what had gone on and so forth. But we saw the disappointment in the host country when they didn't get past the first round. We've seen the opposite here. You and I also saw Russia last year, the Confederations Cup. We thought, wow, this is
not a lot of expectation.
No, this is going to be really difficult. One of the best performed sides in those first 2 games. Yes, they had to play Saudi Arabia and Egypt, but that's not their fault. All they can do is beat who's in front of them. Now, the last game, okay, they got beat 3-0 by Uruguay. Golovin, the best player, wasn't player, but the other players, Cheryshev, and Zubayev have been absolutely fantastic. They're going to be very difficult for Spain to beat. Now, Spain obviously lost their manager before the start of the tournament.
How do you view that? Because I haven't asked, we haven't even sat down at all.
Yeah.
Julian Lopetegui,
wow, what a pronunciation.
takes the team to the FIFA World Cup,
yep.
one of the 5 or 6 teams that we would see as favourites.
Yep.
The eve of the World Cup, it's announced that he's going to be Real Madrid's next manager. Fernando Hierro, a great pro, was already in the Spanish Federation, takes over the team. It hasn't affected them greatly, but could it affect them later on when the teams get better?
I think so, and I don't think they've been quite themselves. I mean, we saw that opening game. It was one of the best games in World Cup history, not just in this tournament, in World Cup history, but still, that's one of those games that Spain in the last 8 years, you'd expect them to win. We saw him in the last game against Morocco struggle. I think this is a real opportunity for Russia, playing on home soil, to actually do over one of the big boys in Spain.
Let's discuss Uruguay first. Goals win games, strikers win trophies.
Yep.
Edison Cavani and Luis Suarez, is there a better partnership at the FIFA World Cup?
Partnership, no. They've been absolutely fantastic. And a lot of people don't realise as well, they're the only team, Uruguay, one of the few teams that have won their whole 3 games, but the only team so far in the tournament not to concede a goal. Now, Tavares, their manager, went to a 3-5-2 in that last game, and one of his key players is Rodrigo Bentancur, the guy who plays for Juventus, young boy, very, very young, and he benefited from that, having a lot more numbers in midfield. I think that they're a team, like I said, that are a dark horse in a way, because although they've won it twice before, no one's talked about them before the tournament that they can go on. They will have a plan in store for every game that they play, and we know what fierce competitors they are. They have a wonderful defensive partnership in Jimenez and Godin, who play together at Atletico Madrid. Jimenez is under a little bit of cloud with an injury doubt, but they're a team, like I said, when you've got strikers like that, Stan, we know, you know.
Win games.
When you have strikers, you know, in that type of class, like yourself, who can win games on their own, you've always got a chance, as long as you keep it tight at the back. Haven't conceded a goal so far.
The 2 French-speaking nations, Flemish as well, for the geeks out there. Belgium and France. Belgium beat England in the final game to go through. They played Japan.
Yep.
And the French went through after a ball draw in the last game of their group against Denmark. Strengths and weaknesses of both Belgium and France, please.
Well, Belgium, I have to say, in terms of, if we talk about champion players, player for player, you couldn't really find many weaknesses. I think that, you know, if you look at it, they're a squad that actually can win it. We talk about dark horses. Are they really a dark horse with those type of players? I don't think so. Right now, at this moment in time, the only thing that you could say with Belgium in those opening 2 games, the England game was hard to judge because both teams made a lot of changes. Is that killer instinct? Can they put teams away when it really matters? And that will be one question that Martinez and Thierry Henry will be asking of their squad.
England,
yes,
young team. Gareth Southgate, we both played.
Yes.
He's our captain at Aston Villa. Speaks very well. Has lowered expectations, but at the same time maintaining the belief that England can be competitive. They play Colombia at the Spartak Arena. Is it a big name team, James Rodriguez and Falcao, too soon? Or could this England team go far? I
think this England team can go far. Now, look, a lot of people will be saying, you know, Gareth, you made all those changes, we've lost that game, we've taken away the momentum. But the bottom line is, if you're being a realist, that side of the draw, in my opinion, is an easier route. And when I say easier, don't think it's just going to be a walk in the park. It's not. It's that much easier. And I think England can go all the way. I really do. They've played some fantastic football. Now, a lot of people will turn around and say, yeah, but against our first test against Belgium, you know, basically we lost 1-0. But once again, 8 changes. They can beat Colombia, and then if they beat Colombia, they'll play Sweden or Switzerland. That will be a very, very difficult game for them as well. But I'm expecting them to at least to get to the semi-finals and probably come up against Croatia.
I'm happy that he's saying that because he played in England. He wouldn't be able to go back. Brazil, I would guess now that with Germany being out of the tournament, that if you like a little wager, that Brazil may well be up there as one of the favourites, if not the favourite. But again, haven't really hit the heights yet of what we'd expect particularly from a Brazil team, and that man Neymar.
Yeah, very much so. And look, they've had a fantastic record under the new manager, Tito. I think they've only lost one game in all the times that he's taken over. Very, very professional outfit. But like you said, like a lot of the other big favourites, haven't really set this World Cup alight. I actually think that they've started a lot like France have, probably like Germany intended to, but basically sort of stuffed up, if you like, to start off a little bit slower and now to build up. They play Mexico, who are not going to be easy for them. We saw how Mexico defeated Germany, although I was a little bit concerned about their performance against Sweden. It won't be an easy game for them, but I think Brazil now, you can expect them to go up a gear and up a gear and up a gear, because I truly believe that they are the real favourites now for the tournament.
Finally, Boz, the fans.
Yeah.
Always winners at big World Cups with their outfits and their colour. Who have been the star turn in the first 2 weeks of the FIFA World
All right,
Cup?
well, I'll talk about three, and I'll get to the winner at the end. Bronze medal, I have to say, my own Australian people. They were absolutely fantastic, even though we only got 1 point. We didn't win a game. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. Number two, silver medal, Mexico, like you just said.
30,000 have turned up.
Absolutely fantastic. But number one, and I saw them in the last group game in Australia's group, 55,000 of them are here. There are people that have sold their houses from this country to come here, were the Peruvians. They were absolutely magnificent. I've never seen a stadium. There was 40,000 at that game in Sochi. They sang for the whole 95 minutes, whatever you want to call it. And the words that I was singing, I was asking this boy next to me, you know, to translate. So proud and so happy to be at a World Cup for the first time in 36 years. And in my opinion, very, very unfortunate. I don't think that they were the third best placed team in that group. I actually think that they should have gone through. Wonderful, wonderful tournament for Peru and what they did. Great players, that Carrillo and Guerra, very, very good. Wonderful manager in Gareca as well. So I'm going to give them number one prize. Well done.
So Peru come first off the pitch, unfortunately not on it. That is still up for grabs, that famous gold trophy. I'm delighted that Mark Bosnich will be with us for the remainder of the tournament to give us his expert view on the FIFA World Cup. Stay with the Stan Collymore Show. You will not miss a thing. The colour, the fans, the passion and the punditry. This in 1998, and there was a lot of controversy. He played against Argentina. He got sent off after lashing out at Diego Simeone. Diego Simeone now is Atletico Madrid manager. Beckham, the icon, in an iconic game. It's been an incredible journey for Russian football over the last 30 years, really. There was the Soviet Union, right the way up till the early 90s. Then several nations left and became the Commonwealth of Independent States. Andrei Kanchelskis played for Manchester United and Everton. He played for the Soviet Union and he played in that team, the Commonwealth of Independent States. No crest, no badge, just lettering. Quite incredible transition from the Soviet Union to that. So we've seen all of the shirts from yesteryear, some of Brazil's great bad, Achilles tendon. Can you help me?
It's okay, I will do it.
What do you want me to do? Tell me what you want me to do.
Come to my table.
Please, let's go. You want me to stand on here?
If you want, up.
I'm very scared. I have never been treated by a shaman before.
Close your eyes, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Thank you very much. He's got rid of my Achilles tendonitis.
That is great.
Thank you. And this is for me. And I'm going to keep this very safe from memory. Let's go and have a look. Jesus Navas played for Manchester City, now plays in Seville. Netherlands against Spain, July the 10th, 2010, Johannesburg. This was worn in a FIFA World Cup final. And we have yet another shirt that was worn. Does it get much more famous, more iconic than the famous Brazil kit? I don't think so. And when you've got a man like Cafu who's wearing it, see, it's even peeling off. You can smell his aftershave. There you go. FIFA World Cup, Korea and Japan. So here's a shirt that I know very well because one of my 3 England caps, which I treasure, was in this kit. David Beckham, great ones, England's great ones, and finally the Soviet Union. We're in modern-day Russia today. They are the hosts of the FIFA World Cup. The tournament is going fantastic, poikily. So we are very privileged to be in the Peru house. Peru are going home from the World Cup, but they have brought colour, they have brought passion, they have brought an incredible amount of fans, and they've also brought a shaman. What does a shaman do? Tell us what a shaman does.
Shaman is a healer. It's a natural doctor that we have in the mountains in the Andes of Peru from many centuries back, from century 1, from the Moche culture, way before the Incas. The Incas come from century 14, the Moche come from century 1.
So I played football for a long time in England, and I have, at the moment, a very... Welcome, everyone, to our roundup of the group phase of the 2018 FIFA World Cup here in Russia. And I'm delighted to be joined by my former Aston Villa teammate and Australian international Mark Bosnich as we analyse the latest action before the tournament enters the vital knockout rounds. But first, here's a look at all the action from around Moscow this week. The Stan Collymore Show today has come to the Russian Football Museum to have a look at how Russia has contributed to the beautiful game in this FIFA World Cup month. But also, some friends of the show, Classic Football Shirts, have brought their collection, a huge collection of match-worn shirts from FIFA World Cups over the last 50 or 60 years.